Hi everyone, this is Aditya Shekhar. I take care of all the GSL activities from IMS, and we are here with yet another interesting episode of Ignite. This is a series about careers in law. So we have two amazing professionals. One is Krishnam Goyal, and we have Gunjan as well. Both of them have done their LL.Ms and are doing pretty well right now in their careers. So one is working with a law firm in Germany, which is Krishnam, and Gunjan is an assistant professor with UPES Dehradun. So welcome to the show, Krishnam and Gunjan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aditya.
Hi. So at the very outset, I would want to know from Krishnam, how was your graduation like? Like, what exactly sort of motivated you to pursue law in the first place, Krishnam?
Well, thanks, Aditya. So my journey has been pretty very interesting right from class 12 because the course that I've pursued is BTech, integrated BTech and law. So I was a science student right from class 10, and then I wanted to pursue engineering, as any other student in India would say, that no, I want to pursue law as well. Luckily, when I was searching online, there was a course that started right from that year itself from UPS that was giving an integrated course in engineering and law. And I had a thing for energy technologies as well. Luckily, I got a good mixture of engineering, law, specialization in energy technology, and I just I said, okay, this is the thing that I want to do. To be honest, I had no idea what law is before I entered the law college. But then when I entered, I just found it very interesting. And then after 6 long years, I was able to complete my engineering and law course. There's one thing very interesting about my course, that is it is a specialization in intellectual property rights, which is generally not given in all the other law colleges. So because of that specialization, I got to know that I have an upper edge over other law students or other engineering students in terms of I can be a patent agent, because to be a patent agent in that's what motivated me to okay, so I can be a patent agent, I can be an Indian patent attorney because I have a law degree. And then I started working. I got a job. I started working in one of the law firms in India. And in my work of around 2 years, I just got to know that there are more opportunities abroad. I can work on my skills better over there. And to reach out to that place, we have very limited options because that foreign law firms do not really come to India and hire law graduates. So to go over there, you have very limited options, and one of them is law, LL.M, Masters in
Right.
Law.
Right.
So that's what really motivated me to to pursue at the first place law and then Masters in Law. That's a very
Yeah.
small journey.
No, no,
Prof.
no. But this is probably for the first time I have heard from anyone who has pursued BTech and LLB. So this, of course, is a very unique combination. And for those of you who in future and you are a science student and you want to pursue BTech as well, you might consider and this is a unique course which is given by UPS, if I'm not wrong. Or is there any other university in India which is giving
Not
this course
now.
as well?
Not now. I think it's only UPS that is providing this course.
Right, amazing, amazing. So this is one of the most unique. Yes, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can. Mhm.
Right, right. Yes, so of course, this is one of the most unique mixes which I've ever come across. And thanks, Krishnam, for going ahead and doing this course because none of us, in fact, I have not heard it till date. BTech and LLB, it's very unique, and I think that's probably the modern era education which we are looking at. So superb. I mean, especially for people who are really interested in keeping science as something they want to do in graduation. And addition of law, of course, improves the overall profile to anything. So, of course, that is an amazing combination. Now, moving to Gunjan. So, I would also want to know how you went ahead and did your graduation. Where did you do your graduation, and how was it?
So thanks, Aditya. Nice question. And okay, so I did my graduation in India, BA/LLB honors from National Law University, Visakhapatnam, and then I went abroad. Like I practiced for 2 years in India. Then I went abroad to UK to Queen Mary University of London. I was the 1920 batch there, and my specialization was international business laws. And I was basically inclined to do that because of the legal design course that was being offered in QM through the Q legal setup that is there within the QM community. And we basically work as lawyers for startups and firms and provide legal design solutions. So that was what intrigued me. And I was aware that they were starting with something like that. Apart from that, the international business law degree was like it's a combination of a number of amazing professors across the globe who are teaching you things like mergers and acquisitions, merger control, and these are all aces in their fields. So we would have lectures by Roy Good, we would have lectures by Rodrigo, we'd have lectures by Mr. Daba, and Alan for that matter. So all of these people. So my basic inclination was to go and do a degree that would add to the knowledge and would add to my career goals. So I had been working on legal design in India since my bachelor's, and thankfully I got through QMUL. And then they also have another, filtration process to admit you to the design this thing, and I got through that. So I was able to get that specialization that I required. How it added to my career was the fact that at this point I am working in the field of legal design. I'm working as an academician, and it's like the best of both of those things that are coming out as a culmination and helping me in the career. So I think an LLM or a master's degree should be actually adding to your career goals. So that's what it did to me, and I'm glad that I did it.
Clearly, clearly. So, Gunjan, one thing I would want to ask you. So, you did your, I think you were practicing as a lawyer in India after you did
Yeah,
your.
I was
Okay.
practicing
So,
in Delhi and Bhopal.
for instance, somebody is litigating, and I just wanted to understand how much value does doing an LLM brings to a litigator, or for that matter, anyone who's working as an attorney in India. If you can
Okay,
go ahead and
so
explain that.
right, right. So basically, what happens is, Aditya, there I know people who wanted to practice criminal law in India, and then they wanted to also be attorney at law in the New York bar, or for that matter, in the UK as solicitors. So what an LLM degree does allow you to do is appear in these exams more easily. It's like a conversion course, sort of, which does help you at some point if you actually want to enter into litigation. So it gives you three jurisdictions. It opens up jurisdictions for you to practice as litigators if you're going abroad. So I think that's where it does add value to litigators. I know people who have come back to India and then given the solicitors exams in these jurisdictions and qualified, and they're working for clients there and in India. So that way, for litigators, I think it's really helpful. Apart from that, sometimes people just want to do a master's degree when they're litigating. Like I know people who have done criminal law specialization or criminal psychology specializations, particularly because they were practicing in criminal law in India. So it does add value that way, I think. So it totally depends on what is your ultimate career goal. The same thing, right?
Krishnam, if I were to ask you one thing, which is when it comes to your LLM, how did you align it with BTech LLB? So, what was it, going on in your head when you were pursuing this LLM? So, this is again a very unique combination, guys. You did his BTech, He did his LLB, then he went on to pursue his LL.M, and then finally landed up a job in Germany. For that also we'll come back to you. How did you land up a job in Germany? Because a lot of us are really interested in pursuing these job opportunities abroad. But first I would want to understand your psyche while you were going ahead to basically pursue an LL.M, and what was this specialization about? Yes, Krishna.
Yeah, thanks, Aditya. So, see, the thing was, when I was working with a law firm in India, I was in the patents department. Okay. And then to succeed in this field, in the field of patents, you need to be an Indian patent attorney. So there's one exam, like how you have an exam for Indian lawyers, that you have a bar exam. Similarly, you have an exam for Indian patent agents. So I pursued that exam, and then I started working as an Indian patent agent, or let's say Indian patent attorney. Now, when you're working as an Indian patent attorney, you do work on law because there are litigation which involves patent work, okay, patent law or science work. In order to understand, the litigation part, or in order to understand the subject better, basically the patent law, which is again, which your UK, let's say US or the German jurisdictions, they are far ahead than us in terms of the patent laws. I mean, it's least to speak, we'll focus on the patent law and not talk about IP. So these German, UK, and US jurisdictions are far ahead than us. So my idea at that time was to understand and learn more about patents. To understand and know more about patents, the only option available for me was LL.M, because there's no degree in science, which will teach more about some law. I can only go ahead and learn about the technology if I pursue master in science. So I thought, okay, let's go for LL.M. Let's understand how the other jurisdictions work. What is the patent law of other jurisdictions? And then I started searching for law colleges. Now, there's one thing very good about the UPS course, not because I have been a student over there, but I genuinely felt that is the specialization which they offer in IPR, the kind of subjects that they offer is actually at the level of LL.M, because I think we studied around 10 or 12 specialized subjects in IPR. And when I went to pursue my LL.M, we had those subjects. It's just that the jurisdiction was different. But if you talk about the traditional law courses in India from any other law college, you will not find those courses because it's a specialization that is given by UPS. So that was an upper edge again with me because I've already studied those subjects, and it became very similar or very easier for me, I would say. Then when I was searching for law colleges who are specialized in patent law, there were, I would say, not more than 10 colleges. So it wasn't a very difficult task for me, to search which college do I have to go or which college should I not go. And then I started talking about these law colleges with my colleagues in my office or with my professors. And I got to know that, okay, MIPLC Germany is one of the colleges in the patent law. And that's what I said, okay, I want to go in this college. And I just started with the application process.
Right.
But I would say the most important thing when you are deciding which course you want to pursue, which college you want to pursue, the first thing that you have to find out is your interest. Because if I have interest in patents and if I go and pursue a course in copyrights or let's say in mergers, it won't make a lot of sense for me, because even I was working in the patent law for 2 years. Then I pursued LL.M and my specialization was in patents again. It was easier for me to find a job in Germany because I had a command over the subject,
Right.
So I would say what you really need to focus on is your interest rather than focusing on the branding of a college or what all courses there are there, what is the strength over there. Professors, of course, professors play a very important role. So there are professors in every field, they're very good professors. So you need to search your interest first and then go ahead.
Right. And for those of you who are still wondering what exactly is the meaning of patent, patent is basically one of the intellectual property rights. So basically what happens here is you have exclusive jurisdiction to the inventions. So once you get a patent to a particular invention, you get 20 years of exclusive jurisdiction with respect to the invention. So of course, Krishnam has done his LL.M from MIPLC Germany, and after that he is basically working as an attorney in Germany itself. We'll come back to him, but let me first ask Gunjan, how was the placement at NLU Vizag, and how do we compare it when it comes to Queen Mary University of London and their placements?
Okay, so the culture in NLUs, I tell you, is more about how much the student body is doing. So as the career cell and everything is driven by the students themselves. So we are the ones who would do a number of internships and make sure that those people come for campus placements. So for my batch, the campus placements were nice. We had companies coming in, and I was one of those people who were offered one of the highest packages that were there that year. So I think more or less, with respect to placements, it's an Indian thing, to be frank. Campus placement is something that you would not really see in the UK. I can talk about the UK. I am not very sure about other jurisdictions, but so far I have seen what they do in the in UK, particularly in QM. What I saw was you would have career fairs, you would have a dedicated body for placements, for careers. Sorry, careers and enterprise. It would not be a placement body. So you have a placement cell in India. That's what most NLUs would have, and most other universities have. But in QM, they had a careers and enterprise section where they would help you develop your CV, develop your network. Then they will call companies on the campus, and those companies will tell you about their graduate schemes, their entry level programs, their the role that you're going to play in different specializations or different departments that you're inclined to engage with. And then they would call alumni, and you can network. So the a placement scene in the UK is more organic and more network oriented than in India. So in India, you could be recruited by a recruiter who does not know you, who would just see you in an interview and assess you based on just that. But in the UK, you would see a organically moving thing. You met somebody at one of the lectures, and then you exchanged a linked profile. They told you about a role. Then so that's how it works, and that's something that they develop in the students from a very early start on in their career. This is something which is drastically different from how placements happen in India. So there are pros and cons of both of it. I think in India, it's a more easier thing to do. In the UK, you need to be really on your, toes to connect with people, speak with them, understand what you're looking for, and then consolidate your profile and then apply.
Right. And which brings me to a very interesting question which anonymous attendee has asked in the Q&A bar. So he or she is asking, is it relatively better to do LLM in abroad or India if you want to come back and work in India in a firm? So if you can go ahead and answer that, Gunjan.
In a firm, yeah. So that's a very nice question. First off, so yes, if you're sort of inclined. I'm sorry.
Shout out to the anonymous attendee.
Okay. Yeah. When you're clear on the fact that you want to come back to India, that should not be. So that's what I said. That when you're planning on doing a master's, it should not be just for the sake of the degree. Right? Just that you want a title in front of your name and LL.M. It should more be like, that I want to add value to my career goal. So if a foreign university is offering something like Krishnam said, right? He's done patent, and now he's working in that area. That trajectory that he has, that is projected just by the fact that his interest plus his passion for working in the field. This is something that can, define whether you want to do it in a university abroad or in India. If an Indian university is offering an LL.M that really does add value to you, you can very well go ahead and do it in India. It's not about coming back or staying in that jurisdiction. It's more about what is the LLM bringing to you on your career. So, if there's a university that's offering, say, a course on legal design tomorrow, I'd be more than inclined to do a double LLM abroad. Or if there's an Indian university which is doing it, I'd be more than glad to add that to my CV. So it's more about how is that particular degree adding value to your career. It could be India, it could be abroad, it could be like you go abroad and come back to India and then work. So yeah, I think this is my viewpoint on it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's absolutely correct. There's no hard and fast rule to sort of segregate the jurisdictions. It totally depends on your interest and how you will customize the masters and add value to your career. Now, speaking of that, speaking to adding value to the career, I'll go ahead and ask Krishnam, how did he add the value and landed up an amazing job in Germany? So, how did you basically find this job? Was the relevant criteria, the relevant educational criteria, was it required that you were to do an LLM or BTech or LLB, whatever? And how did you basically go ahead and project yourself as a suitable candidate in that job?
Well, yeah, I would come back to that question. First, I'll answer, there's a question that you just asked,
Sure.
Gunjan. So I think, why I'm telling you the answer, why I'm speaking about it, because that's a question that most of the students ask, or when they get an answer whether I will get a job after pursuing LLM abroad, or will I have to come back? That's the question.
Right.
So I think before you pursue LLM, you need to ask yourself, why do I want to pursue LLM? If you get an answer of this question, you will get the answer of everything. For example, if you're pursuing LLM for the sake of pursuing LLM, that no, I want to pursue masters, and LLM is the only option, of course, in law. So it's not required that you have to go to abroad or you have to pursue it from India. You can pursue it from anywhere. Now, speaking about my case, I said I wanted to pursue LLM because I wanted to pursue patent law of other jurisdictions. In my Indian jurisdiction, patent law was taken care of by UPES, then my work in 2 years. But then I wanted to understand about the other jurisdictions. So I chose Germany. And why Germany? Because the university, MIPLC, they teach about the European jurisdiction, the German jurisdiction, and the US jurisdiction. And if you want, also the Asian jurisdiction. So that is something which is very unique about that university. In comparison to the other universities, like you have University of Berkeley in US or any other UK or US universities, they will rather focus mostly on either the US patent law or the UK patent law. So that is what drive me to pursue LLM from Germany, because they were having a lot. So I think the question that students need to ask themselves is why they want to pursue LLM.
Right.
Now coming to your question, Aditya, yeah. So I think, I told you, as Gunjan also said, it's all about networking, and especially when you go to abroad, you don't have any placement cell, to facilitate your process like how we have it in India. You need to take a step ahead and highlight yourself to the prospective employers over there. And I think, although we're discussing the topic of this workshop is life after LLM, but I think if you really want to land a job in abroad, your life starts right from the time when you've started pursuing LLM. So it should be life when I'm pursuing LLM, and how can I really get a job after that? Because I remember from my first month or second month of joining MIPLC, I started looking out for job opportunities, for part-time opportunities which are available at least in some law firm, so that I have a period of 6 to 8 or 10 months where I can project how I really work, what are my skills to my supervisors, and then when I complete my LLM, I can get a job, because that's the most easiest way. Otherwise, no one knows how you actually are, or even your LinkedIn profiles, your CVs would not tell everything about you. There will be always a better candidate, or at least an alternative, what you're bringing to the table. So So I think the best thing is you have to go ahead, you have to project yourself to the employers, and then you have to wait for the results. And I remember, I started applying for job opportunities, and it's difficult. I did not land on anything for the first 6 months. And then Corona happened to everyone, in all the jurisdictions. Then the job market was down. But then there's another interesting thing. I started with a blog called IP Press, and I started writing blogs. I said, okay, let's write something on patterns because that's what LLM gave me. When I was pursuing LLB, I did not have that acumen, to analyze some legal questions. But when I pursued LLM, the horizon, it increased. It just became vast. I could now analyze any legal issue with an eye of Indian jurisdiction, European jurisdiction, UK jurisdiction, American, German, and then I can understand, that what is the loopholes over there, or how we can improve, or what the other jurisdictions are doing on that particular issue. So I started writing blogs, and then when I started writing blogs, one of the employers was there in my LinkedIn profile, and he really liked my blog. So that's how my journey started, And then he only sent me a message saying that, okay, I'm having this vacancy. Why don't you come over and let's have a chat? I went to him. We had a discussion, and then this discussion went over for at least 9 months. It's not that I got a job in one day. So it was a 9-month discussion with having around 10 to 15 interviews in the same firm with different people. So it's a long process, but if you wait for your LLM to get over and then start with finding jobs in abroad, it's going to be very late. The right time to find jobs is right from the time where you have started your LLM.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right, amazing, and I'm pretty sure Gunjan also. And so, speaking about Gunjan, she took a transition from litigating to pursuing her career in academia. So, how has that transition been for you, Gunjan? So, of course, Queen Mary University, London, and then coming back to one of the most beautiful places in the entire country, which is Dehradun. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So how has the transition been? How are you liking it? What are the challenges? How is everything going for you?
So, Aditya, yes, the transition has been good. And academics for me is more research oriented thing, right? It's more about exploring what I don't know. So I'm one really intrigued person. And I think one reason why I entered academics is because you keep learning. You are never irrelevant, you are never stopping learning, and you're always connected with the new generation that is coming in. So while yes, I was litigating in India and I wanted to move out, but then the reason for that was that I wanted to pursue legal design particularly, and that happened in QM as well. So 7 years since I started at NLU Vizag, I think one internship struck that chord of legal design, and it was since then. So when I got this opportunity to go and pursue it and then transition my research area of legal design, so that way I think my transition was very organic, very easy, because I was not particularly moving out of a profession or entering a new one. It was more like something I had always wanted to do. I had always wanted to research in legal design, experiment, and understand how it would help academics, it would help corporations. And I think it had been very very easily transitioned. So yeah, leaving the litigation bit was, and why did I pursue litigation was the fact that I wanted some experience of understanding how work is done, how drafts are made, how law is applied. And this is something that I spoke with my dad before I decided to go abroad, and he was insistent. He was like, you should understand how things work before you actually go to do a master's. You should have some knowledge of how a firm works, or how legal work is done. And it did add much to my career, because when I went abroad and I started working with Q Legal, I had all the idea how contracts had to be drawn, how visual contract could be converted, like a normal contract could be converted into a visual contract, and several other such things. So for me, the transition was very easy. I mean, I was aiming for it.
Superb, superb. So, of course, that was a lovely insight. Now, I'll come back to Krishnam and ask him about his brief stint to work with a law firm in India. So, you went ahead and worked for an IP firm, if I'm not mistaken. How was your experience like? And did you decide to pursue your master's in law after feeling that there could be a need to further strengthen my knowledge in terms of what I as a professional am exuding? So was it required, or so there's a huge question which comes, and which these students often ask is LLM really required to go ahead and do well in a career? For instance, a lot of people who are partners in these corporate firms or who are senior advocates, they do not have LLMs, right? So, is LLM quintessential, or is LLM something which will give you more clarity to do well in a career in law? So, if you can add your brief stint of working in a law firm and this question.
Well, yeah, sure, Aditya. So I'll answer that. You know what? Even if you pursue LLM, then there is no, I would say, requirement from a law firm, even in abroad, to have a candidate who has pursued LLM. They just want to have people who have pursued bachelor's in law. So if I'll say, that because I've pursued LLM, that's why I've landed a job in Germany, that will be wrong, because that's not the requirement. Even if you see the qualifications, they just want a person who has pursued simply law. That's it. Masters in law is not the requirement to work in a law firm. And that's an additional value that may give it to you, might not be in terms of high packages, but maybe in terms of how you deal with some issues, some complicated issues later on. And that can come either by experience, how you said, partners are there who have worked in this field for at least 15, 20 years. They have a pretty well experience in how to handle those legal issues. I would not say that if I pursued a master's in law, I would be, at par with them, but I would at least have some idea as to how someone else would deal with that issue if someone else is there in another jurisdiction, you know. So when I was working in India, there was no requirement firstly for LLM. I was doing pretty well. My office rather didn't ask me to pursue LLM. They were like, there's no need for LLM now, because you already have a degree or qualifications which are required to pursue a work in a law firm, or basically that relates to my work. But because I was curious to know beyond what I'm already working on, I wanted to understand how other things work in other jurisdictions. I said, okay, let's take a year break. Let's go to pursue LLM. That was the thing. So I don't think LLM is a requirement anywhere if you want to work in a law firm. Then when I went to Germany, and I was discussing it with the partner, or I would say the work that I do in daily life, my regular work in a law firm, I would not say it has even 2 or 5% of what I was taught in LLM. It only involves work which relates to my experience so far, my BTech degree or my law degree. Master's degree for me was just a stepping stone, or a ladder to get. I would say, if you want to work in abroad, you need visa, and to get that visa, you need to be in that jurisdiction. From India, you cannot get a work visa. So my idea was, okay, let's go to Germany, let's pursue masters in law, and then let's see how it goes. Because I never aimed at working in Germany. I, I mean, the only thing that I was confident at was, okay, I'll get a job, no matter in Germany or in India. I know my strengths, I know what I've pursued in India, my experience, and so I can get a job over there or in India. So that was the only thing. But I never aimed at pursuing LLM to get a job. or to get a better package in India, because that is a very rare case. If you come back from Germany or any other jurisdiction, and then if you say, I need a better package, so chances are less, but of course your clarity of the issues will increase, would improve, and then you would have a better idea of how things function at different jurisdictions. So for that purpose, you definitely need to pursue LLM, but with an aim to get a better job or better salary, I don't think LLM is the right option.
Right, right. Super. So before I go ahead and ask a very relevant question which has come to my mind to Gunjan, I would like you guys to go ahead and ask us any questions. All the students who are here can go ahead and ask their questions either in the Q&A tab, or you can write it down on the chat box as well. Right now, speaking of job opportunities, I think it works slightly different in academia, if I'm not mistaken. Gunjan. There, LLM is a prerequisite. Yes,
True.
because for other jobs apart from academics, LLM is not required. Be it litigation, be it corporate firms, be it working as an IP lawyer, be it working as an in-house lawyer, be it you taking a transition from law to anything else as well. That also justifiably, includes your bachelor's in law. But having said that, master's in law is a prerequisite if you want to go ahead and pursue academia. Now, pursuing academia, I would go ahead and ask Gunjan, how do you like the process of teaching, and what exactly, whenever I meet a teacher, there's always a passion of imparting, information. Knowledge is something which is very potent, and it is the universal requirement which sort of transforms any individual. So I want to ask you, Gunjan, what exactly is teaching for you? So imparting education, how do you see that to yourself, and how, of course, LLM is pretty relevant when it comes to academia in India?
Okay, so first off, I'll answer that question that yes, like you said, LLM is a base requirement for you to enter academics in India, and also for a PhD. So when you enter academics, you have to do a PhD, you have to pursue the research role, and for that, you definitely need a master's. So if those of the viewers who are interested in entering academics, for them it's a essential degree. Masters is an essential degree. Apart from that, so there is something that definitely is mixed up at most instances in people's minds. There are two of these areas that are there. One is academics, one is research. So for research oriented work, when you want to go abroad, it is not important that you have a master's coursework or tutored master's. You can do a research master's and go forward with a research project in that jurisdiction. Or some of the degrees of PhD, which are more research oriented, do not even require a master's. They require you to have a bachelor's, and then you do a lot of coursework and everything, and then you pursue it. So these are two different things. However, if you want to enter academic teaching, then you need to definitely have a master's degree and pursue your PhD afterwards. So this is how it is in academia. Apart from that, the whole idea of teaching and how it resonates with me is more about learning. So, like I said, I'm very intrigued. Generally, I like to read a lot, and I like to, explore new areas that are coming in, and like to learn more from the students themselves too. So generally in my classes, it would be more like a discussion. It would be an open research question to them, asking them, okay, what do you think? What do you think how it should be? So why I enjoy teaching is more because I learn a lot. And obviously, what I have learned all these years and what they do not know, I am bound to tell them. But then the reciprocation that happens in academics is of a very highly intellectual level, which is what does touch me. So I think that's why, I mean, my classes would all be like that, and we would be having activity based stuff, and workshop based things. So that's what we also do in legal design from an academic viewpoint, like developing all those techniques and delivering those courses that way. So it's more about this research area and the culmination of teaching and learning that helps. Yeah.
Right, right. And speaking of the way we do our jobs, I would like to ask Krishnam the question: how do you find working in a law firm in Germany is different than working in a law firm in India? Like, what is that palpable difference which you can see while working abroad?
Well, I think there's a lot of difference between, the law firms who work in India or law firms working abroad. I mean, if let's talk about the work culture first. In Germany, you are at your own. It's not that you have to come sharp at 9 o'clock. It's not that you have to be there. You have to sit over there till 12 midnight. Over there in Germany, you have to do your work, no matter what time you're coming. So there is a difference in work culture firstly, because you get that freedom. At least you have that freedom of mind, peace, that okay, whenever I have to do this much of work, and I can do it at any time. Unless the law firms in India, or I would say, at least in my experience, that if you're 5 minutes late, there's going to be a blast. So I think that is not the thing over there, at least. Then talking about the work culture, there's a lot of supervisor and mentee discussion that takes place in the firm. I would say that supervisors over there would be more like a professors or a mentors who will keep mentoring you for a very small thing, and which is good when you are in your budding stage of your career, which is not generally the case or thing which I found it in my experience in India. So, I mean, there are a lot of many differences which I'm not sure if I can allow to speak over there publicly, but these two differences, I think it would make a lot of difference. At least, mentally you would be free when you're working. You know what you have to work, but then the freedom that you get at abroad is much more than the freedom that you get in the Indian law firms. And in addition to this, when we're talking about LLM being a quintessential for working in a law firm or in academia, I think after 10 years or 15 years, the trend changes. For example, when we were pursuing engineering degree 10 years or 15 years back, or let's say 20 years back, there was no requirement of having a master's, right? If you'll find engineers who are 20 years, in this field or 15 years, they don't have a master's degree really. But now it has become a quintessential in the engineering field to have that degree of master's. Similarly, I would say, last year only I was looking at some job opportunities in India in one of the tier one law firms. I saw that they are actually looking for LLM. The requirement was LLB/LLM. So now I think the law firms in India are also, changing their pattern and want to hire people who have pursued LLM. The reason I'm not sure, because it's at a very nascent stage, at least in the field of law, to have a master's to work in a law firm. But I think the culture is coming now. If you go and see it, the same thing in abroad, you'll find most of the lawyers over there, attorneys, are masters qualified or are PhD holders, and then they'll end up in this profession.
Right. And speaking of that, Gunjan, how do you go ahead and pursue LLM? So, what are the? Is there an exam which you are supposed to crack by to pursue an LLM in India? And same goes for abroad. So, if you are applying abroad in, say, be it the university in which you have done your LLM, or the Harvards, the Yale, the Ivy League law schools. How do you land up an LLM there? If you can go ahead and tell that.
So, India, yes, there is the CLAT exam for doing a master's from an NLU. Yeah. which one can appear in, and you get ranks, and then the same process as a bachelor's degree, right? Apart from that, I think universities like there is in Indian Law Institute, I think IIL or ILI in Delhi, which has its own exam. Then there are other universities which have their own exams for masters in India. While that's not the case abroad. So if you're planning on going to UK particularly, what you need is an IELTS score, an English test score. That would be a mandate. You need to demonstrate that you're well versed in the language, your understanding of the language is good, and that the jurisdiction that you're entering, you're going to be comfortable in conversing in their language. So IELTS or TOEFL is generally a requirement even in the US universities. Apart from that, the preparation bit when you're planning on going abroad and doing an LLM, it requires you to sort of find out which course that you're interested in, particularly what you're passionate about. Then write a statement of purpose, which is needed. Then two references are required generally. So, a statement of purpose is a document which is very important when you're applying for these degrees abroad. You need to actually mention why you'd want to pursue that particular course. People go to the details of mentioning the name of the professors that they are interested in, learning under. They would go forward to expressing why the jurisdiction, how is it going to add up to their career goals, what are their career goals 5 years, 10 years ahead of that degree. So those are the things that you mention in a statement of purpose. And then you have the reference letters. So your academic, if you were working before, then somebody who has worked with you could give you a reference letter. And if you are going for like right after your bachelor's, then it could be your academic, your professors who would write you reference letters and mention about your work, which is very important essentially when you're applying for a degree abroad. These are things that have more weightage than anything else. So I think that's the kind of preparation you need to do. And yeah, I think more or less this. So yeah.
Right. Yes, guys. So, if any one of you have any questions, you can write it down on the chat box or Q&A section. The last question, which I'm going to ask to Krishnam, is the fact that there's a when it comes to a normal student who is from a middle class family and is pursuing his or her dream to go ahead and land up a job abroad. How comfortable, or how do you sort of uh, have that sense of belongingness ka problem? Like, that's a major problem for people who land up job and who are working abroad have to face. And for people, that's the that's probably one of the main factors why they don't go ahead and do a job abroad, because there's always this sense of belongingness ka problem, and then they end up coming back to India. So how do you deal with that? That's a very relevant question, because one of my very close friends also, he did his LLM from Germany. He was working there. Now he's a professor at NASA Hyderabad, and he had this problem. He was not able to address this, and he had to come back to India to go ahead and do it.
Well, I can totally relate to this, and I think that's one of the major problems that we face after landing a job in abroad. That that you have a family over here, so you cannot take your parents to any European countries. First of all, that's not a law over there. They'll not get a dependent visa. So at the end, either you have to stay away from them when you're working, or you have to come back. So that's the decision that you need to make. I would say I've been lucky so far, because I've stayed in India I've been staying in India for the last 3 months. and I have been working from home because that's the leisure that we got from COVID, I think. So, but again, I have to go back to Germany next week, and then the same thing happens. What to do now? Your parents are over here. You would have to come back, or how are you going to manage? So, I would say I don't have an answer of this right now. Probably after 3 years or 4 years, if we meet again on the same platform, I would definitely tell you how I have dealt with this dilemma. But right now, I'm myself is in this dilemma. I don't know how to deal with it. That's the thing. Or you have to be practically very strong. If you are really career focused, then you should just focus on your career, and rest other things will follow. For example, I've decided, okay, for the next 3 years I'm going to stay in Germany no matter what. Because there's an exam over there which I need to qualify, and I can only qualify that exam after 3 years. That's the timeline over there, that you start working, you take an experience of 3 years, and then you give that exam. So I make my plans stepwise. For example, when I was planning for LLM, I never had a plan to land a job over there. I only wanted to pursue LLM and take a break from work. Then after I pursued my LLM, now I've made a plan of 3 years. Okay, so I'll stay over there for 3 years. I'll qualify this exam, and then I will see how things go. Because if I be very honest to you, I think if you see the packages, if you're working in a tier one law firm in India, you will get a better package or a nice package, or I would say comparatively very competitive package than what you're getting at the cost of staying away from your parents and family in abroad. So I think if you are capable of getting a good salary, a good package in India, then why do you really want to have to stay abroad, unless or until you just love the lifestyle over there, or you want to get the exposure. For example, I want to get an exposure of at least 3 years of working in a law firm, and then I will decide whether I have to come back or I have to continue staying over there.
Right.
So I think there's no right or wrong answer. It goes on everyone's situation practically.
Right, right. Superb. So that brings us to the end of the show. I had lovely time interacting with both of you. So insightful, and everything is covered. Like, I'm very satiated right now. So each and every bit of LLM, going abroad, coming back to India, the sense of belongingness ka problem, the kind of exams which you are supposed to give to pursue LLM in the country or abroad, everything has been covered. So, guys, for those of you who want to ask us questions, you can write it down on the chat box. Or else we are done. We are winding up the session. Go ahead and give a thumbs up to our YouTube GSL channel. That's there. We keep on coming up with a lot of interesting shows, be it careers in law or how you are being taught in a law school. All of it is covered, and we are there to help you, to nurture you, so that you also get to where Krishnam and Gunjan are today. So thank you, Krishnam and Gunjan again for this lovely session. I am really grateful for both of you to come to the show and brace us with your presence. And it was simply an amazing time interacting with both of you. Thanks so much.
Aditya, it was a pleasure. It's so nice interacting with both of you and understanding your ideas and answering all those questions you had.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aditya. To be honest, I really enjoyed this session, and it was a pleasure to have you and Gunjan with me on this session. Thank you very much.
Right, right. All right, guys. I'll see you soon. Stay safe. Keep on working hard for your dreams. And we'll see you soon. All right. Bye, guys. Take care.